grade, this is a video to help with lesson 6.7. Now lesson 6.7 is talking about dividing 3-digit numbers by 2-digit numbers. So we're going to do this explore and grow together, and then we'll get started with the lesson. So in your explore and grow, it says that all of the division problems down here, they don't have a remainder. None of them have a remainder. Which problems have 1-digit answers and which problems have 2-digit answers, and how do we know? Well, I'm going to tell you how to know. I'm going to tell you how to find that out so that then we can work on these problems. If your divisor, the number doing the dividing, so in this one 612 divided by 18, the 18 is the divisor. If you take that divisor and multiply it by 10, I'm sorry, not 100, by 10, then that number, if it's equal to or less than the dividend, which is the number being divided, the 612 here, there will be 2 digits. If the number is greater than the divisor, or the dividend, I'm sorry, it will have 1 digit. So I'm going to do a couple of these with you to help you hopefully understand a little bit. So let's look at this one. 612 divided by 18. Okay, so the number that we're multiplying by 10 is the divisor, the number doing the dividing, the 18. So 18 times 10, anything times 10, we just stick a 0 on the end of it, right? So 18 with a 0, 180. So we look at this number and we look at our dividend, this 612. Well, 180 is smaller than 612. So this quotient, the answer to this problem, will be a 2-digit answer. Now you're not actually solving these problems on this page. All you're telling me is, does it have 1 digit or 2? So for this one, you'd write 2 digits. Okay, let's do a couple more. So 344 divided by 43. So again, we're looking at the divisor, the number doing the dividing. We're going to multiply that by 10. So 43 divided by 10 gives you 430. Okay, so we look at this number, we look at our dividend. 430 is greater than 344. So this answer will only have 1 digit. So for that problem, all you need to do is write 1 digit. Alright, I'm going to do one more with you, and then I'm going to let you do these bottom 3 on your own. So pay attention, hopefully you're catching on. 340 divided by 68. Okay, so we take the number doing the dividing, the divided by, multiply that by 10. 68 times 10 is 680. If it is bigger than the first number, the dividend, it only has 1 digit. If the answer to your multiplication is smaller, it will have 2. So this one, 680, is definitely bigger than 340, right? So it will have 1 digit. Okay, so I'm going to let you do these bottom 3 on your own. It says, how do we know without calculating? So down here in this space, you can write, if the divisor times 10 is less than or equal to the dividend, there will be 2 digits. If it is greater, there will be 1 digit. Okay? Now, it says, explain how estimation can help you determine the number of digits in the quotient. Okay, so when we estimate, we're taking our numbers from our problem and we're rounding, right? We're rounding those numbers to find an approximate answer. We're not finding the exact answer. So let's take this 612 divided by 18. We're going to just do that one real quick. Okay, we're going to round. So this to the nearest 100 would round to 600. And this to the nearest 10 would round to 20. 600 divided by 20. 20 can't go into 6. 20 can go into 60 3 times, which is 60, right? Bring down your 0. 20 times 0 is 0. So our answer has 2 digits. So what you need to write here is estimating gives us an approximate answer. If we round and the approximate answer has 2 digits, the actual answer will have 2 digits. Okay? So if we round, the rounded answer will have 2 digits, which means that the actual answer, the exact answer, will have 2 digits. Okay? So make sure you do these bottom 3, because I only did these top 3 with you. Make sure you do these bottom 3 so you get all your points. Your explanation in this section is if you if you multiply the divisor by 10 and the answer is equal or less than, sorry, I'm all over the place. If you divide, if you multiply the divisor by 10 and the answer is less than or equal to the dividend, you will have a 2-digit answer. If it is greater than the dividend, you will have a 1-digit answer. Down here, we estimate by rounding, and if the rounded answer has 2 digits, then the exact answer will have 2 digits. All right. Let's look at our Think and Grow example. Find 368 divided by 16. So first it wants us to find an estimate. So we're going to round. Okay, so 368 divided by 16. So our dividend, we're going to round to the nearest 100. So we're going to look at our 6. 6 is greater than 5, so that's going to round that up to 400. And then for our divisor, since it's 2-digit, we're going to round to the nearest 10. So that we look at this one, it's also a 6, so that's going to round that to a 2. 20. So 400 divided by 20. Okay, 20 can't go into 4, but it can go into 40 twice. 20 times 2 is 40. We subtract, bring down our 0. 20 times 0 is 0. Alright, so our estimated answer is 20. So that's what you'll write here. Alright, use the estimate to place the first digit in the quotient. So in our estimate, we have a 2-digit answer. So the first digit in our actual division problem is going to go in the tens place. So that's what's going to go right here. The first digit is in the tens place. Alright, so then they've worked out some of this for us. 16 can go into 36 2 times, like our estimate, which is 32. Then we subtract. 36 minus 32 is 4. Then you bring down the 8. So now we want to do 16 into 48. 16 times 3 is 48. 16 times 3. 48 minus 48 is 0. So there is no remainder if you get to your last digit and the answer is 0. So 368 divided by 16 is 23. And you can check your answer by multiplying. You'll multiply the answer that you found by the divisor, the number divided by. So 23 was our quotient, so that's what you'll stick here, times 16. Okay, so 23 times 16. So 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. So in that first box, 138. Okay. Now in our second box, remember we always put a 0 to be our placeholder, because when we start with our second digit, it needs to go below that second digit. So 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. So in this box, 230. And then we add 8. 3 plus 3 is 6. 1 plus 2 is 3. 368. And this answer that you get when you multiply should equal the dividend, the number that got divided at the beginning. 368, 368. So you can multiply to check. Now, in your homework, in the homework section, it says then check your answer. I'm not going to make you write it out and check your answer, okay? But if you're unsure if you did the division correctly, go ahead and check. Some of your problems today will have remainders. You'll get down to the end, you'll get down to the last digit in the division problem, and you'll have some left over when you subtract. So remember, that goes up as the remainder. All right, let's look at our modeling in real life example. Tours of a television studio have no more than 45 guests. There are 589 guests in line to tour the studio. How many tours are full? All right, so we're going to divide the total number of guests by the number of guests that are allowed in each tour. All right, so let's do that. So the total number, 589, that's how many are in line, divided by how many are allowed on each tour. Okay, 45 cannot go into 5. So our first digit's going to be here in the tens place. 45 can go into 58 one time, because if you multiplied 45 by 2, you get 90, which is too big, right? So it can only go in one time. Okay, 1 times 45 is 45. We subtract our 45. And we get 8 minus 5 is 3. 5 minus 4 is 1. Okay, and then we bring down our 9. So we're already to the last digit of our division problem. So now we're going to divide into 139. So we know that 45 times 2 is 8, 9, 90. 45 times 3, 5 times 3 is 15, carry my 1. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 more is 13. Okay, 135 is what I get when I multiply by 3. My number here is 139. I am not going to get any bigger than that without going over, right? Because if I add another 45 to that, it's going to be more than 139. So it can only go in 3 times without going over. Okay, so it was 135. So I'm going to subtract, 135 from 139. So 9 minus 5 is 4. 3 minus 3 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, so I'm to the end of my problem. So this right here is my remainder. Okay, so 589 divided by 45 equals 13, remainder 4. Now we need to interpret that answer to help answer our word problem. The quotient is 13, the whole quotient. So 13 tours are full with 45 guests in each. There is a remainder of 4. So there are 4 guests left over. So the last tour is not 4. The last tour is not full. The last tour only has 4 guests. Okay, so that's not a full tour. So how many tours are full? 13. So it's asking how many tours are full, so we'll say there are 13 full tours. Now if it asks how many tours were taken, Well, there were 13 full tours and then this one tour that only had 4 people, but it still was a tour. So if the question were to ask you how many tours were there, you would have to say 14. Okay, because there were 13 full and then 1 more. But this question is asking how many of the tours were full. So that's the 13 without the remainder. All right, so pay attention to word problems. Make sure you know what they're asking you so that when you are dividing and if you have a remainder, you know what to do with that remainder. In this problem, we just ignored the remainder because it wanted to know how many were full tours. But if it asked you, how many tours were there total, we couldn't ignore that remainder. But this 4 does not mean there were 4 tours. This 4 means there were 4 people left over to make 1 more tour. All right, I hope that didn't confuse you too much. That is lesson 6.7. If you have any questions, as always, just let me know. I am happy to help. And I will see you next time for lesson 6.8. Bye-bye.